Welcome back to the Captain's Table question and answer session with Crucian Gaming and Zool of ATMO Esports. If you missed the previous episode, we talked all about what ATMO Esports does, the past, present, and future of ATMO Esports and racing and other events like that in Star Citizen. There'll be a link right above Cruise Head for those of you on YouTube. Those of you listening to the podcast version, it'll just be the previous episode. So without any further ado, let's get to these questions. These are questions that are asked by the chat live on twitch.tv/TheAstroPub. Come join us live at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Well, I'm not going to say GMT because every time I say GMT, it changes and I get in trouble because I can't do conversions properly. So yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern. Come join us live and ask your own questions and participate in some of this chat. So the first question is from Sarusawa Kuno, who asks, at the AstroPub, what is your favorite racing ship and why is it the Argo MPUV? Actually, seriously, what is your favorite racing ship and why? I would love to see Argo racing, but I mean, I'm a bit. In lore, there's an event called the Cargo Olympics, where it's all about loading and unloading ships. So you load everything into a ship, you fly the ship to another location, you unload it, then load in new stuff, and it's about a timed race where you have to like beat the other teams by moving cargo around. And you have to because this cargo is delicate, you also have to fly carefully, but you have to fly fast, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see stuff like that in the future where people are doing train stuff like that. And Argo Cargo would be perfect for something like that. But in terms of my favorite racer is the Omega, because nobody uses it. Well, of course it's rare because it's an AMD exclusive, but nobody uses it. And I always love the Mustangs. The Mustangs, I think, are underappreciated. So because they're just not as good. So
imagine though, you could take off the cargo part of an MPUV and then just mount the thrusters from a Herald right up underneath that.
There we go. Yeah.
And then you've got a racer.
Oh yeah. All right. Next question comes from Fastcart. God, if you take your current age and subtract it from the age you were when you backed Star Citizen, then divide that by your current age, how much of your life have you spent playing Star Citizen? A fifth of your life or a fourth? Okay, let me try to do them. I'm going to do the math now. All right, so you take your
I have to take off my shoes for that.
Yeah. If you take your current age, okay.
Actually, I have a fourth.
Subtract.
Yes. For me, it's a fourth because I've been playing since 2015. It's been 7 years. So yeah, it's about a fourth for me.
Your age, then minus when you backed.
Mm-hmm. So the age where you were when you're back. So like, for instance, I'm 35 now. I backed when I was 27. So minus 27. And then divide that by your current age. So divide that by my current age, 35. And it's 0.22. So a little under a fourth of my life. Yeah.
Oddly enough, mine's 0.21.
Yeah. So I guess that's a fun little math thing because it's like for how long it's been. But there we go.
I've always been very, very proud, although my wife has always teased me horribly about the fact that I've got 9,000 hours in Star Citizen.
Oof.
I play 20 to 40 hours every week.
I stopped counting because almost every time I play Star Citizen, I stream, and there are trackers that show you what game you streamed and how long, and I'm like, I don't want to look. Last time I checked, it was like a year in terms of hours.
Wow,
that's crazy.
So
I don't even want to know. I play this game way too much. I mean, not recently in the past year, but yeah. Back then when we we used to have 2.6 and 2.5. Yeah, we went pretty hard.
At 8 hours a day sometimes in those days.
Yeah.
I always tell everybody, as long as you have gotten 1 hour of enjoyment for every dollar you've put into it, it's totally worth it.
Oh yeah, that's pretty easy for Star Citizen. All right. Next question comes from Crystal King, who asks, What do you guys want to see for real in-game Murray Cup? All right, what would be your ideal? And let me preface this for people who don't know what the Murray Cup is. In lore, there is a famous race which is kind of like the Indy 500 or the big race series of the Star Citizen universe, and it's called the Murray Cup. And it has been the big race forever. People like judge it's more of a like an old school version of racing, because like modern racing, everyone has the same type of car, maybe a little bit of modifications here or there, but they have basically the same frame. But the Murray Cup is bring your ship. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it fits through the gates, you can fly that ship. And so there are, Xi'an have participated, the various human companies like the Razor has participated, the M50 has participated, the 350R, the Omega, all of these ships have participated in the Murray Cup in the past. So I'll start with you, Zool. What would be your ideal of an implementation for in-game Murray Cup by CIG?
So I have to go about this as ATMO Esports. Okay. So for me, I want the ability for spectators, you know how there's all the different buildings kind of floating in the air and everybody's zipping past. I want spectators to be able to stand on those buildings and be able to view the event live. I want small camera drones, sort of like the ones that you see whenever Jax McCleary is doing his stuff, those type of camera drones, that I want our guys to be able to run, and they need to be as fast or faster than the actual racing ships in order to be able to keep up and get the angles and stuff. And I would love to be able to have it, have our camera team be able to broadcast that across the in-game PU, where people can watch it on, screens sitting at Microtech in the bar, or if you happen to be in an 890, having a watch party and that kind of stuff. That to me would be the ultimate in the Murray Cup experience.
Crew?
Yeah. So for me, the Murray Cup, I would like this to be obviously like, they do the Invictus event, like I want it to be a big event in game. All right. I want it to be, in different systems, be a big event in game. So let's say this event, like it starts, let's just say it starts in August and then it ends maybe like the end of September. And every week they have a different place where people can go and either register for the racing game, and then, they have to be there at a certain point, and, they have to race. And then if people are racing every week, let's say they do maybe anywhere between 8 to 12 races, if they win those races, they can accumulate points throughout the verse. And then obviously, towards the end of the event, whoever has the most points is a champion of the Murray Cup. So I feel like it would be great for it to be as an in-game event taking place in different systems. I think that would be fantastic. Like, we have a racing place in Grimhex. We could have another racing place in a Pyro Moon somewhere, or in a different asteroid field, or down in a Terra system, or back in Levski. Who the heck knows? But miss you, Levski. But, just have a completely event-wide for the game for all the fans, that anybody can just go in and compete and have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's. I think even in lore, the Murray Cup is like a series. It's like a cup series, so that you go to different locations and all kind of stuff for that. So yeah, that'd be cool. All right, I will say my ideal Murray Cup is any Murray Cup that I can set up a bar just to go watch for people to watch, so people can hop in. People can walk over. It can have the bar set up. People come in, enjoy some drinks, and watch the cup as it goes by as an event. I like it as an event because the CIG already has this event idea. Make it a big event. Make people come in. Let players qualify for it, and then have the best 16 players in this event are the only ones who can participate in this event, because they did all these qualifiers and they just go and everyone watches them. That would be fantastic. It'd be a really cool way of promoting, racing, but also as a way for people to say, hey, let's go to this place and watch it, because, pirates will go, hey, yeah, let's go to that place and raid it. Let's go. Yeah, you have security companies who will be like, oh, cool, we can track down pirates here. And other people who just let's go enjoy it. Let's just see what's going on.
So the entirety of the event would be the qualifiers that would then culminate in CIG contacting these 16 people to do the finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be extremely interesting to be able to see it.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think and it would be uniquely CIG, uniquely Star Citizen. It'd be a very Star Citizen type edition. So,
yep.
All right. Del Ener asks, what is your favorite, or what is your dream top 3 ships for Ship Showdown? Racing focused or otherwise? Let's go with you, crew. Favorite 3 ships. If you want to say put 3 ships in the Ship Showdown, the best in show competition, would you be your best 3 ships?
So right now, I would like to. I ain't gonna lie, because of the racetrack, I'm down for the Grey Cat PTV. I know a lot of people have been trying to push it, so I'm gonna say Grey Cat PTV. But I think it's just a Ship Showdown, right? They don't really have ground vehicles, from what I remember.
No, they have ground vehicles as of last year.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I would say Grey Cat PTV. I would say. I want to see like these ships that a lot of people don't use win, because that would just get people excited to use these other ships. So I'm gonna say Grey Cat PTV, Mustang. We've already seen the Carrack win, already seen the 890 win. We've already seen I think the 600R has already won. So I want to see Mustang, Grey Cat PTV, and the C2 Hercules hasn't won, so I would like to see the C2 Hercules in the mix as well. So those are going to be my 3 picks.
Awesome. Zool?
I'm going to have to go for my own personal favorite ships. So I'm going to have to go Banu Defender, Reliant, the Reliant Tana, and holy crap. I'm a huge Origin. I own every Origin ship, so it's hard for me not to pick Origin. But I'm going to have to go... Man, the M50.
The M50?
I think would be, because I loved, so we used to, everybody in ATMO Esports that did camera work, we all used to use the M50 as our camera ship until CIG did the whole reflight factor thing and made it a true interceptor. So now the M50 goes amazing in a straight line, but doesn't turn at all and doesn't strafe at all. So no one of us are able, and actually, wait, no, I got to change that. No, the most useful ship in the entire game, no matter who says anything, I will fight you in a dark alley, the Pisces.
Okay.
I will take, it'll have to be the Banu Defender, the Reliant, and the Pisces, because the Pisces is the most useful ship, and everybody I know owns one, and everybody uses it as their shuttle. It's just too useful.
For me, let's see, top 3. Obviously the PTV for this year, because I'm a big fan of the PTV. It's the original vehicle in Star Citizen. Before we had anything else, and Zool, you remember that we had just we
used to jump them in the hangars.
We used to jump them in the hangars. It used to be it was the first drivable, flyable vehicle in Star Citizen, and it needs a little bit of love. But other than that, obviously, I would say Mule, because it's a nice. I call it the shit bug because it looks like a beetle. And it's a Drake, so it hauls shit around. So it's a dung beetle, the shit bug. And for the last one, I'd have to go with the Buccaneer, because that used to be one of my favorite ships, and then CIG nerfed it into the ground, and I'm like, because I love how nimble and fast it is. It's the ultimate get good ship, because you either win or you die. There is no escaping when you're flying a Buccaneer. So, yeah.
So there's just so many good choices. I don't feel like there's a right or wrong answer, but I really hope the PTV, the Grey Cat, comes out on top for this year.
Yeah. The only thing that I wish about the PTV, whether it wins or loses, if CIG would just give its wheels a little bit of a buff. Please don't let the wheels fall off so easy. Oh, yeah. We would, in ATMO Esports, we would be using it a lot more if they'll just make the wheels stay on. That's all we're asking.
Hopefully they get that buff, because they have been trying to improve upon it just for the kart racing. They're like, we gotta make this better. So
yeah, it's gonna need it for the kart racing, no doubt. With those little tracks like that and that many people running around, as soon as they touch each other, those wheels are just gonna fall off.
It'll explode. All right. Next question comes from Crystal King, who asks, do you think the weight of fuel will one day affect the performance of racers? Would driving on half a tank be beneficial? Zool, what do you think?
I know that CIG has a policy of dialing it up to realism and then dialing it back to fun. So I don't think that they'll add weight to fuel on ground vehicles. I think that they will find other ways to make the vehicles more significant, like the physics and stuff. I don't know if they'll go that deep, because that would be some macro management right there.
Mm-hmm. True.
I don't think so either. But to add to that, regardless of what happens at that point, we already have, like, the daymar rally was already made with checkpoints for people to fuel up regardless. So I think that even if they do, like, it's going to be easy for us to kind of tackle that, because, we have people like Ultimate Energy and, Sigelian's org that already want to participate and be our, our fuel people. So, I don't, like, regardless of which way they go, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all.
Cool. I think they'll probably do it at some point in some way, shape, or form, because they want to do that with, like, cargo and stuff like that. I don't know if it'll affect. I don't think it'll affect the performance in the same way that people will hope. I don't think it's going to be like at cutting edge, like it'll give you the fraction of a second faster sort of thing. I think it'll be mostly, if you have this much fuel, you will have this degrading performance, and it'll just be a compounding performance over time, rather than being a simple fuel mechanic, rather than that, like how much kilograms does that fuel take? It's like, nah, it's just going to be like a small percentage. I think that'll be the most of it. But I think
something like if you've got a half a tank, you're 3% slower, just flat across the board.
Yeah, no matter whatever your top speed is, it'll just be a simple reduction. So, some ships will always, or vehicles will always be faster, no matter what you put into the tank, because it's just a smaller, just a faster vehicle. But you also have the problem of, like, we're having to, especially with, like, endurance races or endurance, like, going around places, you want to be fast, or do you want to be efficient? That's the kind of thing, like, meaningful decision that I could see CIG developing as a way of making it complex enough so that people who really like complexity will go, yes, but if we start at the very beginning of this race with 1/4 of a tank of fuel and then get to the checkpoint and then switch it over to the half a tank, we can still make it. All that kind of tactical forward thinking, but not have to be like pulling out the calculator and doing the calculus on, like, what the fuel to weight ratio is for this ship, that kind of thing. So,
see, now you've given me an image of just before the daymar rally, one of the Cyclone RVs RCs just doing donuts in the in the starting line, trying to get rid of half of their tank, because they know it'll make them quicker.
All right. The next question comes from Ayana Gecko, who asks, does ATMO Esports have any plans to create stunt races with jumps that need to be cleared, obstacles that need to be avoided, with the style points awarded for those being key to winning? Does any of that sound like a viable idea?
So I'll jump on this one real quick. So we are trying to make events in Star Citizen as ATMO Esports that we can translate into a bigger competitive environment, meaning like prize pools and things like that. So, we will have races that includes jumps and different things, but a specific stunt race, that might be something that we might do for fun, outside of, like, the main events that we're doing. But you have to remember that right now, well, back then you could do a lot of crazy stuff with the Cyclone. You could do backflips, you could jump, you could do 360s. But now, because they have that physics where if your vehicle is even tending in the air to go upside down, it fixes itself. You're right. I've already pointed that out a million times to CIG, saying, like, hey, this is not realistic that it's fixing itself in the air, because then people can't really do a jump. They can't really do anything. So I'm hoping that in the future, as vehicles get better, they're improving GravLev, they improve that mechanic to where if your vehicle is upside down on the ground, not in the air, if it's upside down in the air, it should be able to flip, rotate, barrel roll, backflip. But the thing is, like, right now, that mechanic in the air is fixing the vehicle properly. So until they fix that, we can't even look at any stunt races at all, because we can't do it. So until they fix that mechanic, I'm gonna say it's not likely it's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna be a priority for them anytime soon. So
yeah, all of our races used to be cut short sometimes when somebody would flip upside down like a turtle and they wouldn't be able to rock their vehicle out. And of course, the other racers, because it's a competitive environment, wouldn't stop to help them in some of our events. In other events, we actually had racers that would turn each other over. So what our hope is, I mean, them adding in this auto writing feature is great. It really does help out as far as the racers being able to get through the events. Our hope is that maybe when the two-handed tractor beam rifle comes out, that maybe it will be powerful enough to be able to not lift a vehicle, but at least turn it over back on its wheels. And at that point, they'll get rid of the self-righting stuff. And that way, if you are upside down, one of your crewmates would get out, or your support ship would set down. Somebody would run up to you with the two-handed tractor beam rifle, flip you back on your wheels, and you'd take off again. And that's our hope. But, we'll have to see what the future brings.
Yeah. I have a feeling like something like that would happen, because that seems to be where they're heading, in that direction. And I know that they had the auto flip feature was more of a, even, outside of y'all, but just in general, people were flipping their vehicles too easily. So they wanted to have a way that you could auto flip it with an easier way. So
it really has been a lifesaver, honestly, for our races and stuff. It's changed everything. Although I know Crucian has mentioned more than once that having it happen in the air kind of takes out some of the fun of seeing people, do loop-de-loops and flips and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's I mean, I like the feature, like you guys said, but in the air is just like, man, like this sucks.
Yeah.
I want to flip. So.
All right. Speaking of Croncy, we talked about Croncy earlier. Croncy asks, every time racing gets talked about on official forums, YouTube, or Reddit, it seems to be the least popular aspect of the game. Lore is the least popular aspect of the game. I know. With such dedicated community, why do you think that is? So why do y'all think that racing is seen as not as popular as, say, something like PvP or even like mining or cargo?
I feel it. The reason why is because people don't have a reason to do it, right? When they did events in game where you could race, like they would, trigger an event, nobody would do it because you gain nothing. You gain like 1,000 UEC.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have, when you bring in ATMO Esports and you're bringing something that you can win, whether you get first, second, or third place, then you have something to kind of race for. So I feel because people don't have a reason to do it. They just rather do something else in the game, and it's probably the least popular thing. But like, again, I'm gonna go back to things like Star Citizen Racing. Now they have leaderboards. So say if ATMO Esports make a track, whether it's for Stanton 7 or for something else, they're actually putting that track inside of Star Citizen Racing, and you can actually go in game and actually record your race and try to get, the best record in the world where you're on the leaderboard. So, now things are popping up that, that you're able to compete for and, maybe have your name as one of the best racers for that track, in the entire world on SCR. So I feel like it's going to become more popular as we go. Is going to become more popular as CIG implements, things like the track that they just did for 318. It's definitely gonna. I think it's gonna be its own little community in game. Like people would log in just to race, especially when the the Origin G12 has come out, or the Ranger, where people want to start a bike gang. So I just feel like it's definitely getting better. And I just feel like it's gonna be even bigger very, very soon. It's just the beginning of it, to be honest.
And I honestly think that one of the issues is that we have millions of Star Citizens. Amongst those millions of Star Citizens, we have new people coming into the game every single day. And I don't believe that most of them even realize that in Star Citizen being in the alpha state that it is, that racing even exists or that people are putting it on. There are so many times that I'll be on and somebody will say, "Hey, Zul, what are you doing?" I'll be like, I'm working on a new track for ATMO Esports. And then 2 or 3 people say, "Well, what's that?" And I'll explain it to them. They're like, "Wait, you can race in this game?" And I'll be like, yeah, so then you have to go through the whole spiel. I almost wish like I could take a block of text and just Control V and just pop it in there, to sort of explain to people, this is what it is. And I think that because so many people don't realize that as an alpha game, everybody expects to log in, try to do as much as they can, and deal with the bugs. And then they get frustrated and they leave, or they just deal with it and they keep on playing. I don't think people understand that there is other activities that you can do, folks like XGR and folks like ATMO Esports and what we're trying to do out there in the environment. And for ATMO Esports on our end, it's amazing because we have the support of CIG, putting us in their flyers on Friday when the Friday emails go out. They're like, hey, and this weekend is the final for the Stanton 7. When XGR does something, they're like, this weekend is the Stanton Cup. And they are helping to promote us on an almost weekly basis, which is great. And they do that for so many other people. If Detox is running a PvP event, they might say, check out Detox this weekend, get involved. And, they go out of their way to try to help us out. But those things only reach people who are actually reading those Friday emails. And usually those types of emails are only read by us rabid fanboys. If today's your first day in Star Citizen, when an email comes out on Friday telling you about the cool race that ATMO Esports is doing, you're probably not even going to read the email. So you don't actually know what's going on. I think as we get closer to a beta state and then a release state, and people become more involved in the community and what's going on around it, I think that these types of things will become more talked about and more of a sort of a mainline thing, I hope.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with y'all in general. I think as these things become more stable, as we start to see more stuff added to the game, as we start to see it more present in the game, we'll see more people participating. And I think we've already seen that turn starting. I mean, with creations like the snake pit being made, and them talking about XGR, I think a lot of people went, wait, what's this snake pit? And then a lot of people made a big fuss about it, and people realized, oh, right. But I also 100% agree with you. Someone was in my chat was talking about how they were talking to a bunch of people who were making fun of bunch of the friends were making fun of the buggy cart racing. And they're like, why would they even do that? And they mentioned they have racing leagues in Star Citizen. They're like, there's racing in Star Citizen? It's like, yeah, like there's racing, and that's why they have racing ships, So the entire section of Grimhex that people don't realize is actually just supposed to be a spectator sport for section for racing that's supposed to go on in the future. So. But yeah, but that's because we've started to see all of these changes. The physics change to vehicles. We're seeing a redone of racing for Arena Commander with the buggy cart racing, all these sorts of things. It seems like CIG is much more focused on that sort of aspect of the game. And I know enough CIG employees to know that they are all rabid race fans. F1 is the big one that they really like. I think some of them are NASCAR fans, but most of them are big F1 fans. I think it also helps that here in Austin, we have the Race of the Americas that comes by, which I believe it might be an IndyCar race. I think there may be a F1 race that comes by every year. So we're just inundated with it every year. So.
Well, and I mean, on CIG's end, because we are doing the majority of the lead work, ATMO Esports, XGR, SCR Racing, because we're doing a majority of the leg work, it doesn't hurt them or take them too much time or bring their people off too many other things in order to throw us a bone here or throw us a bone there and make everything better for everybody across the community without pulling a team off of Squadron 42 in order to work on a racetrack. So when you hear people complain about, well, they should be working on the game, not on making the snake pit better, you then have to turn around and say, wait, this was the developers on their time off messing around with the snake pit a little bit because they realized how cool this thing was that this group of people had put together. Same thing with ATMO Esports and the Daymar Rally being put into the lore. I mean, that was a huge thing for us to have something that we created become a part of actual canon. That's a really big deal. While they did not make a track for us or anything like that, they showed us their love of what we're doing and how we do it by putting us into the lore. Same thing with XGR. They showed their love of what they're doing by going and taking something that was already in the game and just adding a few things here or there to make it a little bit more immersive and believable. So you can tell across the board that CIG supports everybody, supports the community and really wants to help us create these lasting experiences and these dynamic events for folks.
Yeah, someone in chat is pointing out that Snake Pit was done by an employee on their own time.
Correct.
And then CIG paid them. And I believe it's the same way that happened with the buggy cart racing. It was also done on their own time, while they're waiting for other things to finish. So yeah, it's not necessarily CIG putting the money in for it, but CIG is also didn't have to add them to the game. There's plenty of things that CIG has done in the past, I believe Montreal built an entire landing zone for the crashed Javelin on Daymar, but they never implemented it in game. They said they might, but they never did. But they definitely implemented the Snake Pit, and they definitely implemented these buggy racing, which shows that CIG is allowing this creativity and these things to flow in there. So it's a cool thing.
You know, and us as Star Citizens, we really do have to step back and applaud the management of CIG for allowing their employees the freedom to express themselves and show their appreciation and love of us, and not, stamp that down and say, well, that wasn't in the cards, therefore you can't do it. Because there's lots of companies that would, that would put their foot down and say, no, this isn't what we were talking about. This isn't allowed. You guys can't do that. So, kudos to CIG for allowing that kind of stuff to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me mention something, and I want to compare a different company here with what CIG is doing, right? I want to talk about Blizzard real quick, right? Hearthstone was actually a side project that people were working on and playing in the office, and then they said, wow, this game is great. Let's make this into a game, and it's one of the most popular card games in the entire world. So I think same thing what the CIG developers are doing. They're just trying to see what the community likes currently, and just if they're doing it, whether they're on the clock, on their own time, whatever it is, it's getting in game, and it's just making people more excited to have something else that they can do instead of just cargo and flying around for 6 hours and the same missions over and over. So, whatever they can add and want to do in their own time to add to create a little bit of excitement in the game, I'll take it any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who do I need to call CIG to get a Formula One style racing for ground vehicles in Hearthstone? Who do I need to call? I'll do it. I'll pound on doors. All right. Next question comes from Fastguard, who asks, first there was Cathcart, which is obviously named for me. And now there is Star Kart Racing. How honored should I be that CIG keeps honoring me in game? Well, Fastcart, you are one of the official ambassadors for Star Citizen. You're like one of only 2 people who've gotten that official title said by official members of CIG. So I think they already have you up there. I know I joke. For those of you who don't know Fastcart, he's a member of Soul Citizens. He's a member of more organizations and groups than I can count in terms of Star Citizen. So he does a lot of work for the community. He's even on here quite frequently. So, but I joke that he is the Neelix of Star Citizen, and to take that as a good thing. All right. Next question comes from Croncy, who asks, I think by far the best event of the last 12 months was Fight or Flight 2v2s. I believe originally you had designed it to be 20v20. Will you continue with 2v2s or do more Fight or Flight back to 20v20?
I'll jump on this one. So Fight or Flight actually is gonna stay. Consolidated down to 2v2 dogfighting. Once we have custom lobbies in Arena Commander, we will actually also start doing 1v1s and possibly 3v3s. Because that way is going to make it a lot easier, and we won't have to use our own camera ships and our own people to be, cameras in game. So once we get those custom lobbies, Fight or Flight, it's going to be like where we're not going to have a cap in how many people can join. We won't have a cap. We'll do 1v1s, we'll do 2v2s, and we'll possibly do 3v3s. Until we find the 2 most popular modes and just build upon that one and make it a lot bigger and better. But I think the best middle ground here is going to be 2v2, because it's so fun to watch. When you go to 3v3, that's 6 cameras that you have to keep watching. But I mean, once custom lobbies comes back and we have that spectator mode, we can just cycle between all the ships. We should be able to kind of get more modes and get more people involved instead of just capping it at 32 people. Now, the 20v20, that could be something where we change the Hearthstone Hurlocker into an all-out war, right? Into org versus org battles and do a big, 20v20. But the thing is, the last time we did, when we tried to do the 20v20 org stuff, we only had about 7 orgs sign up when we needed a little bit more than that. So, I feel like people are, it's a bit too difficult for people to get 20 people to come together and on a date and get an org together. So we're going to try that again in the future, maybe when Theaters of War comes out, but we definitely want to do something that is org versus org, that is ground, where, people are landing their troops and they have to take over a certain checkpoint, and hold that checkpoint, kind of like hardpoint for Call of Duty, or maybe 20v20, just a big flick battle, and then the last org standing wins. We definitely want to bring that back, but as of right now, I think we're gonna hold off on that, and Fighter Flight is just gonna be strictly dogfighting, 2v2 for now.
Yeah, for the 20 versus 20, we had 4 amazing events lined up, but trying to get the orgs to rally their troops in order to get enough people to do it was just tough. But we're always looking forward. Now we've got 100-person servers, so it might be something that'll be easier for us to do that next time. Because before, 20 versus 20 left us 10 spots left for our camera people and staff members. So 100 person servers gives us a little bit more room to kind of move that direction.
All right. All right. Croncy asks, Spleen Shepherd has started doing ground racing and is already breaking records. Can we pre-ban him from Daymar Rally and System 7?
Spleen Shepherd. I don't even know
who
that is.
Splen Shepherd.
Splen is now doing ground racing, I guess.
Yeah.
He's very good. I don't know if he's a diplomat, but he's very good.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, if Splen is as good as he says, he still has a lot of people he has to get through. Jet Heller is the fastest truck racer in the entire Star Citizen. This guy, he drives the RSI Rover as fast as a buggy. Don't know how. This guy just works his magic. So you got Diplomat, who's an incredible racer who does the entire Daymar Rally in like an hour and 20 minutes. So definitely has a lot to hold on to. So I think there's going to be a lot of competition this year.
That's good. Look forward to it. All right. Next question comes from Shempasta, who asks, what's everyone's favorite non-racing thing to do in Star Citizen? Zool, I'll start with you on this one.
Because I'm retired and I play Star Citizen every day, my activities are a little weird. Pretty much I wake up every day, I log in and I'm like, you know what, today I'm going to mine. And then I just do. And then tomorrow I'm like, I'm going to do bunkers today. And then I just do bunkers. Sometimes it comes down to I will stop what activity I'm doing due to alpha bugs and the frustration that they bring. You keep going into bunkers and the elevators won't go down over and over. You're like, you know what? I'm not doing bunkers today. I'm going to do PvE bounties. And then you switch immediately. But it's there is nothing in Star Citizen that I do not enjoy. And in all honesty, some days I'll just even like go to Orison and sit on, one of the platforms to just watch the sunrise. It really is just an amazing game, honestly.
Crew?
I'm sorry. What was the question again? If you could repeat it.
Favorite non-racing thing to do in Star Citizen?
Favorite non-racing thing to do in the Star Citizen? I actually love doing bunker missions because I just like, just going to these areas and, doing first-person shooting in the game and just like, honestly, like looting has been one of my favorite things. So trying to do these bunker missions and find a lot of loot to sell and make money on has been really, really cool. Unfortunately, we just got wiped, but before the wipe, I had a full like Ninetales outfit, the pink one with the cape and everything, which was like one of my favorite ones in game. I'll probably have to go back and get it, but I think doing bunker missions and looting has been one of my favorite things to do in game lately. So it's been fun.
I'm just gonna put it out there: wearing Ninetales gear is the quickest way to get shot. It's all ingrained in our heads now. You see the pink, you shoot. Crap! That was a player. So cool. Sorry.
It is cool.
It is the best looking gear in the game currently.
All right. For me, my favorite non-racing thing to do is the thing I always do, which is smuggle. That is my main profession. I enjoy getting, or as I like to say, I am a legitimate entrepreneur. All right. I get things that people want. Don't ask where it came from or how I got it. All right.
I've got somebody like that in my lawful organization. He just kind of glides along that gray edge.
That's the ultimate goal for me is to do that as a main profession, and then also open up the bar and sell good booze, cheap booze, good booze, and rare booze for people, and have it kind of be like a nice hub for people to come by and chill and hang out and have parties, and bring in people who are musicians to play in game or to sing in game or to like that kind of thing, to add a little bit. I was inspired a little bit recently by there's a club in Final Fantasy 15 or I can't remember which one. So the
oh yeah,
14.
14. They run it every Friday. They run a club, and it's a huge event that people will come from all over the different servers to go enjoy. And I'm like, I want to do that, but it's Star Citizen.
So let me ask you.
Go ahead.
Will the pub have like a super secret back room that only certain clientele get into, where some of these smuggled goods may find their way to be offloaded?
Zool, I have no idea. That is absolutely not the case. You can definitely not knock on the door and ask the right passcode and go in and get yourself some very unique items. I'm offended by that that observation.
He literally just called out the Miller Mile Club.
At least you're not selling it out of the back of a ship or something. You're like, hey, come over here to this freelancer. Let me show you what I got.
Hey, I got this right here. You want to see it? You know.
Oh man.
All right. Next question comes from Citizen Shenanigans, who asks, will mules be racing on the buggy track or any other?
I think mules falls under the same I think size category as a gray cat vehicle, but I don't know if the speed of the mule would allow it to, do the jumps that's on the track. So I'm not 100% sure. Because we did a little bit of a race with the mules in Stanton 7. It was actually one of the coolest races we've done in the residence quarters in Orison, but I'm not sure if it's fast enough to clear those jumps in the track in Orison. So that's something that's going to have to be tested.
Yeah. In my testing, the mule actually is faster than the PTV. Okay, so as long as we can get it on the track, then it would be great. But we actually ended up using the mule on the Stanton 7 race number 4 due to the fact that the PTV's wheels kept on falling off during all my tests. So I don't know if you happen to watch that particular race or not, but it ended up being one of the standout races of the season due to the fact that we used this little, what'd you call it, a shit bug? In order to do this race with. It was a lot of fun. It was a great race, and we had so much fun with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see more mule stuff in game, or like a mule. What would be, if it was going to be added to the Daymar Rally? Would it be a buggy or would it be a truck?
It is. So the problem is that it doesn't really fit into any of our categories. And what we're trying to do is, we've already got 3 categories, the hover bikes, the racing buggies, and the trucks. And we're trying to keep it capped at those 3 categories. I'm not saying it won't ever change in the future, but more categories means more cats to herd and more things to try to keep a hold of all at once. So we're hoping that CIG will do us the huge favor of always taking most vehicles and trying to put them in one of those 3 speed categories, which will make our life so much easier. So, for instance, if you go to the truck category, the Rover is faster than the Spartan by quite a clip. However, the Rover is also more prone to being knocked around by rocks on the surface of Daymar, versus the Spartan having more wheels and is more resilient and is slower. So when they go to do the Daymar Rally, they have the choice. Do you take the faster, more bouncy Rover, or do you take the little bit slower, more heavy-weighty Spartan and try to see, where you go? And it comes that way with a lot of our vehicles, and that's the reason why we try to put them in those categories. So what we do is, anytime they add a new vehicle, the very first thing that I do is we go out and we test to figure out, where we can put it, or can it even be put somewhere. So I don't know if I think maybe we could have some sort of like a mule PTV sort of race course at some point. Maybe even you might even see it in a Gray Cat social at some point.
Okay. All right. We're down to 12 questions. So, and I don't mean to alarm y'all, but we were already at the length of the last episode, the section, and we still have 12 questions left. I know it doesn't feel like it. That's time kind of flies by when you do these things.
Lightning round.
Yeah. Well, no, we're good. We got plenty of time. So, Outlaw Knight Zero asks, how does one break into the racing scene? Is there a place for novices or people using potato PCs to join in on the action?
So once you can play the game regularly in game, you can race. It doesn't matter. Like, say if you have like say if you have minimum specs on your PC and you want to race and you can run the game, you can join the race. There's nothing special that you need to do. You don't need to, share your camera or stream. You just need to show up on race day and just be a part of the entire race. So if you want to register for a race, is just go to atmo.gg, choose whichever one race you want to do, whether it's a daymar rally or next year Stanton 7, or you want to participate in the Hearst and Hurt Locker. You can just register for free again at atmo.gg. So it's completely up to you. If you feel like in a big environment where you have a lot of players and it really lags on your computer, then unfortunately that's not on us. It's unfortunately due to, the non-optimization that the game doesn't have yet because it doesn't have server meshing yet. But, once that comes, then, hopefully more people can participate. But if you feel like you can definitely race with your current specs and computer, hey, sign up, man. We would love to have you. So we do practices before the main events, at least 2 practices before the main event. So you can always come to a practice and race and test out and see how we do things. And then you can see if your computer can hold up at that point and see if you're able to join the main event. So,
and please let me emphasize this, and I cannot emphasize it enough. Do not let superstars like Crucian keep you from trying to get out in any of these races. We do not care how good or bad you are. Come for the shits and giggles. Have fun with it. We had a young lady this year in the Stanton 7 named Kali Wally. It was her very first time doing one of these events. She was my favorite person. I think she was I think she was the entire ATMO Esports team. Every one of us were rooting for her every single time. She did not win, but she had one hell of a time doing it and said she couldn't wait to do it again. And it's that sort of attitude and those types of memories that you get from doing this kind of stuff that really stick with you. 10, 20 years from now, when Star Citizen's out and everybody's playing it and it's got 40 million people playing it, you could say, yeah, when it was still in alpha, I was racing with these guys. I actually knew Crucian. He was really cool before he got all big and full of himself and, went to work for CIG. But before that, he was amazing. And I got to see him all the time. So come out to these events and have some fun with us. If you win, great. You go home with prizes. You go home with trophies. You go home with all this cool stuff. If you don't win, you go home with memories and laughs and a whole lot of fun. So it really is worth it.
Yeah, Callie was actually on the show a couple of weeks ago. Because she was working with, why am I blanking on her name? I feel bad about this. With Authentic Young. Authy.
Oh, yes.
She was also in our qualifier.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna. Kali Wally is the first, woman, female, whatever you want to say, respectfully, in the first person, women that qualified in the Stanton 7. I was just so happy to have, and like the racing community just be way more diverse. And I'm not gonna say this to tap ATMO Esports in the back, but not only like Crucian, but also Kali Wally. A lot of these people are gaining traction because they're racing in our events. They're gaining popularity not only in the racing community, but people are finding them because, the people that are watching ATMO Esports, our races, after our channels, they go to their channels and they go hang out and say, hey, good job on the race. And like she's practicing, so like we do our best to give, how do you say it? We do our best to amplify the racers that are out there, on Twitch or streaming or whatever it is by, creating profiles or doing, highlights on social media and things like that. So, it's not just trying to benefit us. We're trying to, help benefit the people that are participating with us as well. So
nice.
Yeah, we want to see everybody succeed that happens to do these things with us. We really do. So we go out of our way to retweet their tweets, raid them when we get a chance whenever we're done with our races. We want to see everybody who does this kind of stuff be elevated together.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I've worked with y'all for a couple times over the last couple of years, and like once a month at least, y'all will finish a race, and suddenly all ATMO Esports shows up at the pub to watch a captain's table. So it happens. So trust me. And I always like to think of this: if you're looking to break into racing, what ATMO Esports and like things like Daymar Rally and Stanton 7 are, think of them as like Ninja Warrior, an old show in America. Half the time Ninja Warrior is just people shit posting. They just show up to have fun and promote themselves and to do crazy stuff. And other people are there to like be serious. You can be any way, which way entirely. I mean, I believe, who was it? The one year of Daymar Rally who won by running.
So he didn't necessarily win. Yeah. He didn't necessarily win, but I think he got top 3 in one of the divisions, which that created an entire story about so many different things. Like you had people making sneakers. It was crazy. So it was Raider from Skyer.
Raider from Skyer. Yeah, who ran
and
it.
Then
there was a documentary about it. Like, I mean, someone legitimately made a documentary with that. So.
Yep. And then we had Kane, who also ran. In fact, he was in the exact same year that my org raced, and was in our division, and we were in the front just before we got killed, and then he actually ended up getting out and running, and he ran 90 kilometers on foot during the rally in the truck division to try to make it to the first checkpoint. And there's a lot of, like you said, there's a whole lot of enjoyable first time memories or even unique memories that come out of those things.
Yeah. So just, if you want to do it, just do it. I mean, even if you don't have a good PC or whatever, just do your best, see what you can do, make work around it. And Star Citizen's only going to get better in terms of its performance. So practicing now is good. I mean, I know people, Diablos has run with Daymar Rally at least a couple times as a support crew, and you learn skills that you never learned until you start doing stuff like this. Like he can spot and navigate pretty well, and you learn a lot of communication skills. So you learn a lot about the game that you wouldn't be able to do any other way by doing this. So it's not just a fun thing to do and things just kind of jump into it, but you also learn about unique ways of getting around bugs and other issues as well. So. Yep.
And one of the cool things about the Daymar Rally is the way that we've got it set up, and what will be happening with it in the future is, if racing is not your thing, being on that support team might be, because later on, as we go forward with CIG, you're not going to have unlimited amounts of cars. Your support team is actually going to have to land and do a pit stop on your vehicle and repair it on the fly, refuel it on the fly, replace things that have gone wrong with it on the fly. So if you're more into engineering, or you're more into, repair and rescue, then all these types of things will be available to you as well, and not just being the guy or gal behind the wheel that is driving across the desert. So, there's other things to look forward to.
All right. Next question comes from Midnight Black SC, who asks, do you have any advice for someone who is struggling to get into the game this patch, knowing that there's another wipe coming in 3.18?
I'm going to tell people this and be super honest with them. Before they even had things where every patch we used to wipe back then, right?
Yeah.
2.6, 2.7, 2.3.0, everything was always a wipe, right? So at the end of the day, before the game goes into a beta or even launch, whenever that happens, I'm patient, so it's going to wipe. They're not going to, the only thing you're going to have is pretty much the ships that you have. They may get to a point where you're playing and they may not decide to wipe it when they launch, but still, to me, it's going to launch with a wipe. So I just feel like regardless of a wipe or not, I mean, the game is going to be where it's at. Try something new. Try Zero to Hero. Try something else that is going to make the game fun for you. One patch, try cargo. The next patch, try smuggling. The next patch, do something different each time. So that way you're not always trying to do the same stuff that's going to bore you to death just so you can make money in the verse. So if there's a wipe coming, man, I'm just going to say, hey, I got to deal with it. I'm going to figure out a way to, just keep having fun in the game. Or if you have an org, you join an org, because that's going to make the game so much more fun. The game is a million times more fun when you're playing with people. You can make money with those guys. They can share money with you. So there's so many ways where you can make the game fun and not have to worry about a wipe at all.
I'll jump in here as well and say real quickly that the other thing is every patch you learn things. Every patch you get better at something. So if there's a wipe coming and you're like, well, I don't want to really do anything, what do you want to learn? You want to learn how to drive vehicles? Go for it. Now's the time to start learning how to drive vehicles. You want to learn how to low fly? Perfect time to try to low flying, because there's no risk for it. You can just move on. So Take it as an opportunity, not a punishment. So
currently right now we're all playing with Monopoly money. It's all fleeting. It's going to be gone until it isn't. So don't worry so much about the thing that is going to be, disappearing anyways. The way I tell people about Star Citizen all the time is the same thing I say to streamers. Don't worry about focusing on the end goal. Focus on just having fun. The rest of it will just come.
Mm-hmm. Having plans is a good idea for streaming, but all your plans are going to go up in smoke. In the moment you hit that start button, something's going to go wrong. So just focusing on having fun is good. The same thing with Star Citizen. It's good advice. Just focus on finding the fun. So, and that exists. All right. Next question comes from Silky68, who asks, do you have any plans for any long range races, maybe multi-system races? And they put in there, I just want a reason to have a 650R.
So again, ATMO Esports unfortunately doesn't concentrate on races that are, that deals with flying ships. We usually leave that to XGR. They've been doing that. So, like I said, we try not to step on people's toes. But for ground racing, we do have the System 7 that, happens every March to May or June. And we are going to be taking for System 7s, we're going to be, it's 7 different tracks. And as we get, more systems in game, we're going to be taking those tracks to different systems, whether it's Pyro, whether it's Terra, whether it's, whatever system they put in game, System 7 is going to try to, separate as far as they can and try to hit at least every single system and make different tracks every single year if we're able to. So, but for flying ships, unfortunately, I don't think we plan on doing anything with like flying ships or like doing long distance stuff like jumping and all that good stuff. I don't think that's in the works from what I understand.
Yeah, the closest we've thought about doing as far as long distance goes would be like maybe a relay race where you have like a regular old cyclone, and you have a box in the back, and you've got to race from point A to point B, and then transfer the cargo, to the other vehicle, which then takes it from B to C. So something like that would be a longer styled race, but it's very early in discussion stages and nothing we've been able to nail down yet. But anything's in the cards sooner or later.
Awesome.
I'll add one thing right quick. AstroPub. People, I love when people hit us up and be like, "Yo, are you gonna do a chess competition? Or are you gonna do a pool competition?" I'm telling you, man, this game is so diverse in what you're able to do in the game. Like one day, if you just want to log in the game and play chess with your best friend in the game, you can do that. If you want to play pool, you're gonna be able to do that. But like we can't cover every single aspect of the game, right? There's, I've done in my own channel on stream. I've done where I spawn 4 different mining and I had people go mine. They have 2 hours. They can go wherever they want. Whoever brings back the biggest hole wins the gift card. So there's so much things that you can do in game to make fun content and just have a good time that is just it's insane. But we can't cover everything. So we're trying to cover the things that we know we can turn to something that's going to be a lot bigger when competitive integrity is in place. So
got it. And helps. For those who missed the last episode, competitive integrity is, what does that mean again?
Competitive integrity pretty much means that people can compete in the game without having any issues. They can compete at 100% and have 0 issues. No desync, no 30Ks, no nothing. It's all just straight competition where they're able to compete at the highest level and win that way. That's what competitive integrity is. Until the game is optimized, until everything is pretty much like in the clear 100%, where CIG knows they have no issues at all, then we can do something bigger.
Awesome. All right, let me pull up the next question. How do wipes affect your planning and testing race courses and events?
Oh, I can take this one. Okay, so I'll give you a for instance. The Stanton 7 finals are coming up, and 317.2 drops. So actually, no, sorry, it was race number 6. We had 317.2 drop. We had an 890 jump, 2 caterpillars, and 16 racers on Noxes that all had to be taken care of by the time the race happens. when, as we were talking about earlier about the wipes, we at ATMO Esports attempt to prepare for every single eventuality. Now, obviously, there's no way we possibly can, but we try to do as much as we can in preparation. So we knew that the patch was in testing. If you've been playing Star Citizen long enough, you can kind of see the writing on the wall when you know it's getting close to about to drop. So no, I have an 890 jump. I went ahead and got a hold of our support staff and said, does anybody have a Caterpillar or two that we can borrow for the race? Two of our camera people had Caterpillars. They brought the Caterpillars. All of our racers, some of them were saying, well, I don't have a Nox. We said, great, we'll send you the money to buy one. Another racer will loan you an extra one. Like, I have two Noxes myself. One way or another, our goal is to always make sure that you guys are going to be able to do the race and be able to go out there and have fun without having to sweat bullets about, hey, I've got to work this week and I won't have time enough to be able to earn the money to buy the vehicle before the race goes. So when these wipes come about, and we know that they're going to come about, it helps us out and gives us a chance to plan. If that day had come about and the wipe happened and none of us were prepared, we still would have went on. There still would have been a show. We would have made it happen. It might have been a little bit different than it was on paper originally, but we're always going to make sure that the race goes on, the event goes on, and the people are entertained. And the racers have fun, because that's the ultimate goal for us.
Awesome. All right. Next question comes from Astro Chronicles. Great YouTube channel. If you haven't seen them, they do a lot of work on. They do their own custom videos for perspective ships, and then other kind of meme jokes about. I think one of them was the Caterpillar transport module, which just dumps people out like a dump truck.
That's awesome.
So they do pretty cool stuff like that. They ask, I have designed, concepted a racing beacons that could be set by racers. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. It's just a YouTube search, Star Citizen Racing Beacons. So I think it's more of a question for you all to take a look at it. But I don't
absolutely, we'll be happy to check it out.
So
I'll be happy to take a look and maybe get an idea from it. So thank you.
Citizen Shenanigans asks, FPS box delivery obstacle course, only knives and tractor beams? Question mark.
No.
What do you mean no? Don't ever say no. You can't say no. Maybe. Possibly in the future. Just wait
channel your inner Roberts, and say maybe. We'll see in the future.
Maybe. It could happen. Anything's possible.
All right. Next question comes from Kuno again, who asks clarification on my earlier question. What's your favorite racer and why? Can we get two guests who answer the question, who answered on this question as well? Two guest answers on this question as well. Your favorite racer? Oh, like person who's racing or race vehicle?
So, ATMO Esports has to remain non-biased against all of our people racing.
Because not me.
But I will tell you that we've been doing this a long time, and we all have our favorites. So not only are there people who's the fastest, but we also have people who come to every, for instance, Sanji Sama. Sanji Sama shows up for every single practice we do, every single event we do. No matter what we're doing, Sanji Sama is there, and you can trust him to be there and working with us. Because of that, he's got to be one of my favorite racers. He may not be the fastest, he may not be the best, he may not have the most points, but I love the guy to death, and I'd go, I'd do anything for him to make sure that he's taken care of, because he makes sure that we're taken care of. Kali Wally, our very first female, competitor who qualified for the Stanton 7, that young lady's got a place in my heart, because she came out, she competed like a boss, and I can't wait to see her again next year. Hope she goes even farther next year than she did this year. So, we've all got those types of people that just really stand out for us that we absolutely adore.
Yeah, I just think the appreciation for the racing community that, the people that are always dedicated, those are the people that I can always, sit down and talk to. If they ever need a one-on-one, I'm happy to talk to them anytime, because these guys are dedicated. A lot of the racers do 3D modeling just so they can figure out the terrain in the game. Dude, it goes a lot further, man. These guys study the races and they're trying to do their best. And, with every patch, vehicles change, and they're there, forefront, helping us either test or telling us this happens, So people that are just dedicated to, to not only racing but also helping us, just always has a fun place, in the racing community. So yeah.
All right,
we have racers that put in hundreds, and I do mean hundreds of hours practicing for just a one-day race.
Damn. So Kuno actually clarified it even further. What they meant was racing vehicle, like ground vehicle. Your favorite racing ground vehicle. Crew, I'll ask you this one first, and we'll go to Zool.
So current in game, Cycle RC. Not in game, the Ranger. I just need a Ranger in my life soon. So yeah,
exact same answer.
Yeah,
same.
My favorite racer is actually, oh gosh, what is it? It's not the RC. I like the Cyclone RC, but I'd love to see the more of the, what is it called? The Rock as a racer, just because it's nimble. It's got that weird suspension to it. But I agree, that's not in the game. The freaking Ranger. I give me my Akira bike in game.
We have raced the Rocks a couple times.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, man. I think by the time this game is even out, we're gonna have so many vehicles. Mm-hmm. So many vehicles. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna have a ton of vehicles. So.
Think about a race with the Rock DS where one person is driving and the other person is on the turret using the laser to shoot at the other racer. See, now that's a race.
There we go. All right. Gin and Tonic asks, Zool, if you had drones that were as fast as racing ships, why not run drone races? I know you answered this in chat.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer it in here as well. The thing that we're looking for as far as the drones go is we need them to be as fast or faster than the ships, only because our camera people don't just run behind a ship. They actually circle around them, they strafe, they get in front of them, they watch the jumps, all that kind of stuff. So our thought of a camera drone would be a static drone that only has a camera on it, no guns, no ability to drop EMPs. You can't change out any of the stuff on it. It's just used for camera work and only camera work, versus the vehicles and the ships, which can all be outfitted. Right now the vehicles can't be outfitted that well, but later on you'll be able to actually switch out the components. You'll be able to tune them. If you have somebody who actually does engineering in your org, they'll actually be able to even further fine tune them. And at that point, if we have a race where everybody's racing an RC, maybe one of your team members was able to tweak out an extra 2% speed that none of the other racers know about. And at that point, your vehicle will be faster because of that. Whereas these camera drones would be just a very static, fire and forget sort of thing that we can operate.
Nice. I don't think that this would be ATMO Esports thing, but I wouldn't, if they even had those drones, I think people would come up with drone racing as well. I mean, I think that's already going to be a thing, just because we're going to have drones anyway. So someone's going to say, what if we threw these drones together and see if they raced? I mean,
it could be fun for the community, but is it going to be fun for the people watching at home? Like if you just tune into our channel, and the drones are small or medium size and we can't see them properly, then what's the point of, us televising or putting out there a drone race, right? So not only when we come up with events, not only do we have to know the factor of how good it's going to look, but we have to actually make sure that it's also interesting for the viewers that are watching at home.
Yeah.
So that way they can get, interested in that and maybe race themselves one day. So there's
I'm just going to say ahead of time that ATMO Esports is calling dibs on Apollo Medbed drone racing. we're just doing it now. For
Apollo Medbed drone racing.
Yep. So you can see it on ATMO Esports first.
All right. So we have two more questions. One's from Shimpasta, who asks, do players have to use stock components for these events?
It depends on the rules of the event. Every single event that we do, main event does have a rule book. So, for example, the daymar rally, for your support ship, it doesn't matter what components you use. For the fight or flight, say the 2v2 dogfighting, we do have some requirements that we do put in the rule book that you need to have basic components, because obviously we know all the ships are not balanced, so we actually grab a pool of ships and we make sure that all the pool of ships are somewhat balanced to each other, so that way it's a fair game for everybody in the competition. So It just depends on what the event is and what's in the rule book.
All right. Last question is from Shimpasta, who asks, are you worried that CIG will try to bake racing into the game as a game loop and mess it up?
No, I'm actually not worried at all, and here's why. Like I said earlier, I think in the previous episode it was about, like CIG having racing in game. I don't think they're gonna mess it up. What they're doing is just creating more interest because, again, if people are racing in the Orison race in 318, they're gonna want to have a bug to race more or do something different, right? Or maybe go create their own track or do something. So I feel like what they're doing is creating interest and doing it the right way, right? Creating some incredible tracks that are in that area. And by the way, like it may not even there. Maybe when they do the next Intergalactic Expo, they remove the track for that time being until the Intergalactic Expo it's over again, and then the track goes back in. So, but yeah, I mean, I think they're doing it great. And I hope it creates more races around the verse.
Awesome.
And you have to remember that CIG as a company is always moving forward. So if they put something in the game like Ninetales, like the Siege of Orison, like the Xeno threat, every time that you do it, it doesn't really change very much. You have the dynamic differences of players being involved, but the event itself is always kind of static and works the exact same. If they were to do races, the same thing would happen with that. So if CIG creates the great Microtech race, the great Microtech race will always be the same race, just the people will be different. Whereas when you have organizations like ATMO Esports that come forward and create these things, we are ever changing. We are always updating everything, and we are changing things as we go. And, for this year's Stanton 7, we switched out 2 of the tracks because we wanted to refresh and bring 2 new tracks that nobody had ever seen before. And this is something that we have the ability to do because we are players that are passionate with the game. Whereas CIG, once they finish something, it's in their best interest to move forward to the next thing. And I think that'll make a huge difference.
Yep, and last thing to add, right? I'm not sure if you're familiar with the word grassroots, right? Grassroots is like people do grassroots tournament organizing for Halo or Call of Duty, right? That's pretty much what ATMO Esports is. It's just a grassroots tournament organizer that no matter what CIG does in game, we're gonna always do something different or elevated. And elevated means prizing, trophies from JRDF. We always want to really put that risk in there that if you're not competing at the highest level, you're not going to be the best or win that trophy to put on your shelf or take home or whatever it is. And then our goal for the future is to one day at a Citizen Con or before Citizen Con to have maybe a Fight or Flight finals or maybe to have a big endurance race during that time. So there's you never know, man. I'm looking forward to the future here.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the future for all this, and I will add on to all of this discussion that y'all just said in terms of additions. I personally am not worried at all because all that CIG can do if they add a gameplay loop, just can bring more attention to it. More people know it exists, and more people will want to come on. So the future
and CIG's already proven. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and CIG's already proven that they love what we do, and they love what XGR does, and they love what Star Citizen Racing is doing. They are fans of ours, and they know what we're bringing to the table, and they know the events that all of us, everybody in the community, all the content creators and stuff are creating. So why would they want to make us obsolete? Mm-hmm. It's not in their best interest. They want us to continue doing what we're doing because it helps us as part of the community, and it helps them make the community stronger.
Yeah. And I think that's just going forward. CIG wants to build tools and systems rather than hard and fast rules. And the more they do that, the more they're going to get more people involved. And the more those people get involved, the more it'll expand and grow. Star Citizen is one of those weird games where it's as much part of the community as involved in the development and creation of the game as the developers themselves, because we really do push the game's culture and narrative with things like the XGR with Stanton 7 and Daymar Rally and all these other events that people put on. I remember people doing Gray Cat Sumo in the background. I do bar crawls where we get together and we go from bar to bar. And I'm not the only one. There are people who've been doing it for years as well on their own. So the CIG has almost always seemed to be, if you build it, they will come sort of situation. Yeah, they'll build things in, but that's the key. So. All right, y'all, that's it for today's question and answer session. As always, make sure that you're checking out ATMO Esports at YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And if you want to check us live when we do these captain's tables, join us at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.